Sorry if I'm so close and my voice is kind of low, but I got sleeping babies. And the only reason why I'm up right now, because we did not lay down until after 4, is because the spam calls be spamming starting at 6 something in the morning. It's tiring and it's hard for me to lay back down. But because I was having trouble sleeping, because I couldn't rest, and I was like, well, shit, let me get up on TikTok and see if I can just pass the time until I get tired. Because as y'all see, I am tired, but my body won't rest. But anyway, I get on TikTok. Y'all remember about a day or two ago, and I was like, there's something more to this TikTok ban than what people are letting on. That y'all are speaking at the surface level and it's something deeper. And I love how the universe will conspire when I'm asking something out of genuine curiosity and I have pure intent on finding the answers. So they said, the universe said, my ancestors, God said, buckle up, buttercup, because this is about to be a ride. And boy, did they take me on one. So let's get into it. I do want to say, for reference, I shared all those videos that I'm going to talk about in my story. So you can go watch them and then come back to this, or you can listen to this and then go watch them and let everything come full circle. And also let the spirit talk to you to see if you have some more stuff to add, because everything within this universe is multi-layered. Like nothing is singular. Nothing. Okay, but getting into it. So I come across Jasmine's video and she's talking about how, reiterating what I just said about the surface level. And she was like, I wanted to know what was different, etc. And then she starts breaking it down. And she's talking about how the things that y'all are doing, the boycotts and stuff. And I'm saying y'all because I'm just over here struggling, fighting for my life. That's another story. But she's talking about how the things that are being done is actually making a dent. And that is what is making this TikTok ban serious this time. And I'm like, okay, she's on to something. I like that. I can see that. Then you go into the next video. And the dude was like saying how TikTok is people's number one news source, right? So it is basically taking the news source from a centralized news source to a decentralized news source. And I was like, oh, that is interesting. Y'all remember about 10, 11 years ago when Al Jazeera TV was on the news? Soledad O'Brien was the main newscaster, and they was giving the real news. Like they was covering stuff that your big headlines wasn't covering, and they yoinked their ass off of cable TV. I was like, this is interesting, but it was still bothering me because one thing about it is that the government is well perverse in mental warfare. You know what I mean? They're very well perverse. So they know ways of making the general public do its bidding without the use of social media, right? And so I was like, okay, like it is starting to make more sense, right? Because you do have this sharing of information and it is not something that can be controlled by the people. But then on the other side, I'm like, they can make the people do their bidding. Pavlov conditioning is a real thing. They do it all the time. Y'all also remember when I told y'all to go watch on Netflix American Conspiracy, the Octopus Emmers, can't say that last word. And I was telling you how they basically consorted well, not really a war, but a hostage situation over in Iran. And that's how Ronald Reagan was able to steal the election. They talk about that in a lot more depth. You should go watch it. And so I'm like, okay, because I had said when I was talking about that show, I was saying that they were using Peace as a way to get Trump back in office, because that's how they're going to do it. And I'm gonna come back to that in a minute. But I'm like, okay, we're kind of onto something, because it's talking about the decentralized, and of course, again, going off of what Jasmine is saying, now you have this sharing of information that they're unable to control. So they're losing control. And so they want to ban TikTok. But I was like, it's still not making sense because you can do that on the other platforms. You can absolutely do that on the other platforms. So why would banning TikTok be so prevalent? And then the universe sent me this other video. And it's basically saying how that the people in Congress have shareholds in Meta and also in Snap. And so that is the reason why they're forcing them to sell so they can become shareholders, because TikTok is a privately owned company. And I was like, oh, so because they're losing money and losing control, if they're going to lose control, they still have the money, which means that they can still control you, right? They can still control you. But, so I'm like, okay. And then what I also found interesting, because she gives a little short list. So she's breaking this down, she's breaking this down and showing, how much of shares that they have in both of the companies and stuff like that, or something of that sort, right? But she also gives a little short list of the Democrat and Republican Senates and, Congress members that voted yes to ban TikTok. And then I shared a video after that, and that is one of my mutual friends where she had a list. She lives in California, and she had a list, and that's just to further the truth that the people that voted yes most likely has shares in the company. And I was like, oh, okay. So the reason why they're banning TikTok is because they're losing power and they're losing money. And that is scary for them. But to me, something was still not sitting right. And that's when I realized the reason why they gave it 6 months is because what happens in 6 months? What everybody is calling y'all to do. How many of y'all wasn't going to go out and vote, but now y'all are absolutely going to go vote because they're about to ban TikTok, which is a beautiful thing. I said this months ago. I was like, this next ride is going to be a really wild ride. They could have very well gave TikTok a year to sell. They could have very well gave TikTok a year to sell. And if it was really of that much national security, they could have cuckolded them in a 3-month. And the 6 month was bothering me. It had something to do with that election. I told y'all it was something deeper. Now, I shared all that other information because that shit is right on point. But it has something to do with that election. Y'all, we about to be in for a wild ride. So y'all better start buckling up, get y'all's affairs in order, and use these next 6 months to really dive into sharing the information to really, and then to go back to Sis's thing, because she was saying, how the Congress people are shareholders. I think what we need to be doing now is finding an app that is both friendly for Apple and Android users and start going on it. Because if they stand on business, if TikTok stands on business, then we're not going to have the app. If they don't stand on business, guess what? We still not going to have the app like we've had it. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? I vote for Fanbase. And the reason why I vote for Fanbase is because A, it's Black owned. B, not only is it Black owned, but it is very clean. The UI and UX design on it is phenomenal. And they have most of the things that you can do on all these other apps, and they're not publicly traded. But because they are a US-based company, guess what? They would be allowed to continue to be used. So we need to do something. And it starts with finding another